A very good morning, and so I'm listening to the Morning Raga by Ravi Shankar. So I think you had a review of the music and several ragas. So I'm just fascinated by this one. All the morning ragas, they just set up your mood and from whatever problem you have in life. There are always those things, and you can just listen to these sounds, any sound you like. Not only pertaining to the strings, you can just go ahead with this. So let us have a look at where we stopped and how we can just proceed ahead in terms of the searchings. Okay, so I think we started searching them by some strings, and we just wanted to find out this. Here it is, and there is this thing about writing and on or in the search keywords, and usually Google search engines. There are several search engines like Microsoft's Bing is there, and Yahoo search is there, and Alta Vista search is there. But they use some algorithms to search for the net, and I have found this Google to be very good. But still, it puts up so many things that you wouldn't want to go into that. So what the text says is about be precise in your search. What you want actually should be this. For example, I wanted to search a book, uh, the particle, okay, at the end of the universe, end of the universe. So it is. This book is written by Saint Carol, and it talks about the several particles that are there in the physics, and so many things associated with it. So if you want to search it, the author says here that you can use the inverted commas. Suppose if you just use the inverted commas here, the particle at the end of the universe, it will just tell you the things associated with it. Here it is a book. Okay. There is another option. You can just use the underscores there, particle underscore at the end of the universe, like that. So that shows up the single word. When you just join them, it becomes a single word and becomes a search parameter. Okay, if you don't use any of this, like the inverted commas or this, the internet search engine, it doesn't know about the about your intentions. It is artificial. So what it will do is it will look for search particle, and it will look for universe, and it will look for end of the universe, such things like that. So it will through several results that will not be the book. So we want the book, right? And so for example, the Google search engines, they are governed by something what we call as the artificial intelligence. Now what does it mean? So it means that whatever you have in your Google browser or Google search engine, it makes a list of what you search, and it keeps a data what you search. Okay, and it picks up the words so that you talk. So for example, one of some of the my cousin was, who lives in USA. uh, these things become difficult when you want to search something like abbreviations. For example, uh, you just have to write. For example, you can see that if I want to search AISHE, All India Survey on Higher Education, now it becomes very difficult, so that if I just type this abbreviation, I have to write it in inverted commas within the browser. The browser link will be like this, and you have to put W in the search engine Google. You have to type this, If you just type like this, all the documents that are connected with the ASHE, they will appear. Therefore, that will make things very difficult. So here, he is given an example of mango and pickle and mango or pickle. So R usually you don't use it because either we would like to have mango or we would like to have pickle, not both. When you want to have both, then you can use this and or. And this and or has got something what he called as the logistics algorithms are there. The algorithms are written by the computer, so it according to that you have to use the keywords to be very precise, and if you use them as the inverted commas, this brings up very good results, while this will have only either, this will have both, and it will be making you very complex things. So artificial intelligence, it takes up all the history of your search and presents the data. Now, present problem that we have with the WhatsApp is that it is going to collect all the data that you type and all the data that you send. You type and send. Okay, it's collected by them and it is sold to the Facebook or it's sold to the private companies. The private companies use your numbers for making the advertisements. So that is the basis of all the data that is collected by the result of the artificial intelligence. And not only that, if you go to the shopping sites now, you have a shopping site. Now, if you go to the shopping site, so it will you want to buy a mobile phone. Now you purchase, you keep the string search. For example, Qualcomm Snapdragon, okay, Snapdragon 888 based mobile phone. Based phone, just you type it and it will put up all the mobile phones that are connected with. Now, as you just keep browsing and go to the bottom of the browsing section, people people who searched for this, people who searched for the Qualcomm based processor also looked at these. Okay, so in the below you will have the sections. For example, headphones will be there. Okay, headphones will be there, and mobile covers will be there. Mobile covers will be there, and not only that, you will have the memory cards will be there. Okay, memory cards will be there. Chargers will be there. Okay, so it will just tell you that this is the things that are put forth by the search engines. The search engines have got a very great algorithm, so they recognize what you search. So therefore, you have to be very specific in your search, and this specificity comes only when you type the double double quotations, right? Guidelines for using the resources. You have learned how to access the information from the internet, but that is not the end of it. You should also know how to use the information. So lot of information is just forwarded. Forwarded is not very good. So you always have to verify. Okay, as a scholar, as a student, you have to verify how true it is and how much authentic it is. Authentic means you have to quote where you got from that. Suppose if you go to my website, if you look at my Facebook page, I might have put some article, and below that article I might have put the reference from where I have taken. For example, bit.ly www.bit.ly/water distill distill distiller. Okay, so this is the reference I am just quoting. So I just want to make sure that I have taken this reference, this picture, and the connected text from that particular website. So I am acknowledging it. Therefore, I am scholarly in mind. So not merely forwarding without verifying. People used to say so many things, so that installs some kind of fear among the people. For example, in the month of December, people expected the rain is going to increase the viral spread. So people just started spreading not everything connected with the spread, like lockdown, like so many restrictions on the travel, so many things. But it didn't actually happen, right? That means so many messages have been just forwarded without verifying, and then so if you use someone else material without citing the source, if you use someone else material without citing the without crediting the source, it amounts to plagiarism. Plagiarism is a new word that is now taking up the stage of so many scholars. So Plagari, yes, and this is the kind of it uses nowadays we use some kind of software. So for example, now we use a software called as a Urkund, Urkund. So what you do is in the Urkund you have to enter this particular text starting from this to this. You just take up this. If you have copied this from book and put inside this Urkund software, it searches the search engines and tells you where it has been taken from. எங்கிருந்து எடுத்திருக்கீங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்லி அதை கரெக்டாக சொல்லிடும். Suppose if you have a student and I was doing MPhil or a project and he has written something in his project, and the next boy of the same teacher does the same kind of project but just changes the chemicals or something. If he uses the same words that his previous senior uses it, then this software will say that it has been you have been copied. Okay, so the universities nowadays do not allow anything beyond which is 20%. So if you copy 20%, it's okay. And then sometimes what happens is people copy up to 70% just to change the tabular column figures in that, then that is not accepted. So plagiarism is a kind of stealing. You are stealing someone's thoughts, you're stealing someone's articles and putting it as your own, and that amounts to treason. Okay, so robbery, whatever you call it, is calling a thief. You become a thief, when you just steal some others. So there are educated thieves, who take up you copy them. But if you take up that idea, put it into some other working out problem, some other projects, and then have your own writing, then it will not show up as the plagiarism. So you have to be very careful in your future about the plagiarism. Plagiarism is you are nowadays what has happened is some people write very good books, they copy the previous authors and this just project is at their own, and that is not acceptable. Plagiarism softwares are there, a lot of softwares are there. They just check how much you have copied and then put out the percentage, and wherever the percentage limit is there, they will simply reject it. So in our Tirol University, if you have plagiarism above 20%, it will not be accepted, so it will be rejected. So you have to redo the project again and submit. Then again they will check it with the current and find out if the plagiarism. So by definition, plagiarism is presenting someone else's work. Very arrow work. Someone else work, presenting someone else's work or ideas as your own, நீங்களே செஞ்ச மாதிரி சொல்லுங்க, or without their consent, and sometimes without their reference, by incorporating, by taking up their take it into your work without full acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge where you have taken from and you have to get permission. Sometimes it requires. See, for example, the music which I just played at the beginning of this. I have just acknowledged in the YouTube section that I have taken the music, or I have orally told you that this is what I have listened. I have actually not used it, but I have been listening, but it comes inside. So as soon as I finish this recording of the video, I get a message that copyright violation is there, right? Copyright violation is there. That means I should not take up those articles and those musics. Okay, so I just have to acknowledge it. I have to get a previous permission from them to say that I am going to use it for my students. That is not for the monetary benefit. It's for their academic purpose only. So it has to be the unpublished material has to be acknowledged whether in the manuscripted or printed or electronic form is covered under the definition. So plagiarism may be intentional or reckless. Reckless means careless, ரொம்ப கொஞ்சம் கூட கண்டாம போறாங்க இல்லையா, that is called as a reckless driving. So some people drive cars in a very reckless speed inside the town. It's called as a reckless driving without any without caring any other person. So intentional, தெரிந்தும். Okay, with knowingly or unknowing. Knowingly, if you do it, it is called as intentional. Unintentional means தெரியாம பண்ணிட்டா கூட அது plagiarism தான். தெரிஞ்சு பண்ணா கூட plagiarism தான். ஏதோ ஒரு வேகத்துல சும்மா போயிட்டே இருந்த கூட அது கூட recklessness. So it's also will account for the plagiarism. Under regulations for examinations and test plagiarism is a discipline that happens. So there are certain rules that are given what is mean amounts to plagiarism in this particular website by Oxford University. Now that you have sent your students plagiarism, here is a checklist of what you should do when you use information. Information என்பது உங்களுக்கு anywhere you get it. Okay. So let us take what is very much nowadays being there, that is the WhatsApp. So in the WhatsApp, if you get information, just look into the who has sent it. Okay, who has sent it? If he has sent it, if the sender is a very renowned person and is a reporter or is a teacher, then it's not that they may have something. But still, you can ask for reference. எங்கிருந்து எடுத்தீங்க யார் சொன்னாங்க actually you can ask for the reference from them. So when you take information from the internet, it should be reliable source. Reliable internet la kuda ஏகப்பட்ட police sites இருக்குது. Okay. Here he says Wikipedia is not a source which can be quoted. Wikipedia la நிறைய material, lot of material is there. But the good thing about this Wikipedia is that he is also referring. There are a lot of references. So you can just go to those references and find out if they are authentic. Authentic na ரொம்ப உண்மையானது ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கரெக்டானது இல்லைன்னா யாருக்கும் சொல்லியிருக்காங்க established person established institute. Suppose if you have a news in a certain you want to say about earthquake or about something like, you can go to BBC, it's very authentic site. You can go to Reuters, it's very authentic site. You can go to API, Associated Press Information. These people only genuine site, whereas there are some sites I don't want to mention them, they just put false news. For example, something very sensational news was put by some Tamil magazines, and that is having some intention of getting the publicity. Okay, so they just do it. There are indisciplined persons everywhere, and the job of the disciplined scholar is to correct them, because unless you have correcting on your stride, nothing, every energy, every amount of energy that you post, every hard work you put will be going waste. Okay, so the next thing is to provide the bibliography. Bibliography is how much? For example, in the book that I have quoted there, the author has written 300 books he has read. How much? Not one, two, or three. He is referring to 300 books. After reading 300 books, he has written that book, The Particle at the End of the Universe by Sean Carroll. He has written 300 books. So at the end of the every book, you can see that there are chapters from there. They have got inspiration, and they have expressing your thoughts and point of view is important. Originally, it is the key to successful presentation. So the next point, then, you should have your own opinion. நீங்க என்ன சொல்ல விரும்புறீங்க அப்படின்னா, so it may not be agreeable to all. Maybe it's his own opinion, and just to see that it doesn't hurt anyone's sentiment. That's more important there. So reference work is essential. So this is very important there. Suppose if I use our computational chemistry, I use this particular software called as the Gaussian. So whenever I just write the methodology, I have to write, I have taken this software Gaussian 09, and I have to acknowledge where the authors who compiled this particular beautiful program, and which is helping the chemistry people of the chemistry community. Okay, when you refer to books and subject, you see that some of my thoughts have already been expressed, but still you can express. So every piece of writing should have three parts: introduction, body, and conclusion. This body should have, it will have methodology, principle, and procedure. All those things should be there. And the next point is focus on the information you're looking for. You don't have to read a reference book from cover to cover. So எல்லாமே படிக்கணும் அவசியம் இல்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். Okay, focus on the information what you actually want to have. Okay, suppose if I am studying the proteins, I just have to look at how many amino acids are there, and then I have to classify them as essential and non-essential amino acids. So if my problem is connected with non-essential amino acids which I have to supply from outside, that I have to search again for the non-essential proteins and non-essential that has to be supplied from outside, and go for it, and then provide all the details to the reader. Okay, so if the context page does not have what you're looking for, check the index. and you'll find the page number of the subject of his interest. So index will come at the beginning, start it will come at the start, and then bibliography will be at the end. Bibliography will be at the end of that particular session. So in between you can have footnote also. At the end of the page, this particular page, you will have a small writing called. For example, if you are reading a book, reference work is essentially refer to books, the subjects, you see that some of them already in express. Every piece of writing should have three parts. Introduction means, you can put one star asterisk there, and at the end of this page, you can just put a star. Introductory part and all the details that you want to write about the introduction one, you can just write it as a footnote. This we call it as the footnote, and it carries some information which some people might think is not essential, and some might have very good information. Okay, for example, if you look into the sun is a big star in H.J.R. Nicker's book of Essentials of Nuclear Chemistry. Yeah, okay, sun is a big star, so he will have put some asterisk comma here, and then at the foot he will have written the star. The sun is losing about 6.7 so many million electron volts per second. So that kind of thing is classified under star, because the stars burn a lot of protons, convert them into helium and convert them into carbon. A lot of energy and radiation is released, and then by that process, sun is a big star. So that asterisk is being given in a footnote of that particular book, right? So you can check those things in the index. You can check those things in the bibliography section, and the contents are also. So index comes at the beginning, and sometimes contents are also there. Index, contents, both are there, and then references are also there, and then in the references is usually will have bibliography. So if you don't have time to read all the entire book, you can just go to the. Sometimes some people just give the notes section at the end of the book, where from every chapter they might have written short information about those things that are discussed there. That is also very useful. And sometimes they also call as the abstract. Okay. So here I stop here, and then just go through again all these points there that you have to write in the examination. I'll tell you the last part about e-learning resources in the government of India. We have a lot of differential information, and we have to harness it. We have to use it to proceed. Thank you for joining me. See you soon.